Today, we are going to see a machine that is capable of preamplifying this in the correct way, a very good way. Want to know more? Let's dive in. Okay guys, welcome to Dialogue, the dialogue on analog music reproduction. Today we are going to take a deep dive on an amazing phono preamplifier, the Luxman EQ-500. Oh yes baby! As I have announced in our video magazine, Eject, here is the video to the #1 issue, the first issue. I have anticipated that I was going to do this video. Here it is. And I've been wanting to do this for a very, very long time because I had this preamplifier for over a year. So I really know how it works, its sound, the good, the bad. We'll discover everything in the following minutes. Are you ready? Let's proceed. Okay. We are going to go through 4 macroscopic points in order to analyze the different aspects of the machine, and clearly at the end also my take on the sound, the most important of all. If you want to know the sound of the phono preamp, even though clearly it's the result of the sound is a chain, as you can imagine, including especially I would say the preamp that comes after, the line preamp, nevertheless, if you take a look at the last videos I did, One for All, the video on CTI records, here is a link. You're going to find all the links in the video description. You can take a look. Actually, you can hear some samples obtained through this phono preamp, which is top-notch quality. The recording, the conversion, everything is done by the book. Okay, let's start with our first point. First point, design and a little bit of introduction. So in 2016, if I don't go wrong, this was released by Luxman. And unfortunately, it is discontinued. I know I'm crazy doing reviews of discontinued products, but it's good for us. I mean, if something is good, who cares? Actually, you're gonna be able to find it if you're interested in a used market at a lower price. So I think it's a good idea. So, what do we have? This is a tube preamplifier, okay? A push-pull design. Yeah, I know a lot of people want Class A, but a push-pull design does make a lot of sense. And a lot of famous designers, engineers do rely for preamplifiers on this solution. Plus, the RIAA curve is obtained in a passive way, the CR, the capacitor resistance type. So, interesting solutions here, and I think that Luxman, when it makes a specific choice, they know what they're doing, the different aspects combined together, as you will hear and see up ahead. Okay, what are they using for our preamplifier? We have 4 ECC83, 2 ECC82, and 1 EZ81 for the rectifier. Okay. Let's take a look now at the baby, the different features, the aesthetics, what's inside, what's behind, what's in front clearly, and then we'll come back. Let's go. Okay guys, here we are. Finally, we can start taking a look to the different features that we find in front of our phono preamp. So on the far left, you can see the operation button, so we can turn it on. There we go. As you can see, this little LED flashes, blue LED for some seconds, and it slowly slows down until it's ready. Takes around 30 seconds, something like that. It has to heat up, and then you're going to hear the relay inside click, and that means it's ready, and clearly the light is going to be stable. Here proceeding, we have 2 lovely VU meters, which can be switched off if somebody doesn't want them. You can also select the sensitivity here from high to low. And proceeding below, here below, we have the type of output, which can be balanced, as you can see, meaning an XLR connection. On the rear, we're going to see afterwards in detail the options, or unbalanced, meaning RCA, classic RCA. Then here we have a very precious phase selector, meaning if sometimes you have it inverted or normal, you can experiment if you sense something, because there are some recordings where there was some mistakes, or as I always cite my famous example by Doug Sachs in one of his records by David Grusin, he writes below on the rear that there was a problem in mastering the lacquer, so the phase is inverted. So if you notice that, or other records, there you go, voila. You just have to click this and invert the phase. Very cool, very useful. It's not useful, but when you need it, when you sense something is wrong and you can have that on the fly, that is very useful. Then proceeding, we have the articulator, which is something very odd. You don't find it that often on these types of machines. But it's interesting, I think. What does it do? Very simple. It demagnetizes the phono cartridge and or the step-up transformer if it's connected. And every once in a while, you should do that. I mean, it's not something incredible. It's not going to dramatically change the sound. No. But it does have a little bit of impact, so it's good to do. You're supposed to do it while the cartridge is tracking for about 30 seconds, they say. Clearly, everything is going to be muted, so don't worry. You're not going to hear horrible noises. Okay, then proceeding, another fundamental switch, the mono stereo switch. Very useful. Once again, if you're using a mono cartridge, you should also select mono on the output. Absolutely. But also, if you don't have a mono cartridge and you're just too lazy to change your cartridges or do whatever is needed to have a mono output, you just have to select this and you're already getting closer to what is a true mono, even though, as we all know, we should use one loudspeaker, and nobody does that. Me either. In any case, it's good to have it. Then proceeding, we have a low cut and high cut filters, which the low cut is the classic rumble filter, which will cut off all the frequencies below 20 hertz, which is usually something when you have a warped record and there is this rumble, in fact, generating these lower frequencies that is quite annoying, and that happened often in the past, and that is why you usually find something like this in older situations, older amplifiers. Phono preamps are not that often used in the past. It's not a true vintage component. You could find that on preamplifiers. And also the other one clearly is on the other side of the spectrum, the so-called scratch filter, which takes off everything coming above 8 kilohertz, so a lot, which should reduce all the pops and clicks. That's why the main feature. Okay, then proceeding here, we have the main button, main selector for the gain, and someone may say, well, this is only changing 4 dB of gain. Yes, it does, not that much, but this is referring mainly to the moving magnet type of cartridges. I know, you guys, this layout as you're learning along the road isn't optimal. It is quite strange, and in fact the new model does have a better, a more intelligent, we could say, layout and functionality. So apart from the moving magnet, with instead a moving coil, high impedance, you're going to have 55 dB, while instead with a moving coil with a low impedance, you're going to have 63 dB, which is already more close to the normal type of gain. In any case, the selector does, with the steps of 2, increased only by 4 dB, so not that much. And you should keep it as low as possible, because even all the specs are measured with the lowest one, it just performs better, clearly. Nevertheless, I do think that having some gain, especially if you're having a low power amplifier, is paramount. So you really have to go case by case and see what is working better for you, what is more dynamic, apart from the finesse of keeping the details and the transients of keeping the gain low. Okay, then proceeding, we have this other knob for the impedance. This is for the moving magnet type of cartridges, which ranges from 30 kilo ohms all the way up to 100 kilo ohms. And as you can see here at the center, there's the classic 47 kilo ohms. Proceeding, there's also another knob for removing magnet types of cartridges for selecting the capacitance. And here the capacity goes from 0 picofarad all the way to 300 picofarad. Here finally we have the selector for the type of cartridge, moving magnet, and MC high and MC low, which someone may think, correctly I think, that this is the output voltage. No, it's not millivolts, it's the impedance, meaning MC high is 40 ohms while MC low is only 2.5 ohms. Clearly the best thing is to experiment. Here on the far right, instead we have the selector for the inputs. And very cool, you have 3 separated, distinct inputs, as we will see in a minute. So you can connect 3 turntables. Very, very cool. Okay, let's proceed on and take a look to the rear. Okay, as you can see, this is the rear. Not much to comment, rather self-explanatory. In any case, you have 3 distinct inputs, as we said, very cool. Each with its own ground, very good. Absolutely, because this can help if there are hums. If one is generating hum, keep them all 3 paths isolated is very good from that point of view, at least. Then, unfortunately, as you can see, there is no balanced inputs, which is something that I would like to have, and in fact is present in the newer solid-state model. But at least you have the outputs, the balance, true balance output, and also clearly 2 other line outputs, normal, unbalanced type. Very high quality connectors, absolutely. Here you have the AC in, and as you can see, the ground is missing. So be careful, but this is an optimal solution, once again, to keep the darn hum down. Okay, let's take a look now inside. Okay, so we removed this very heavy cover, and voila! Just 4 screws, very simple. And as you can see here, we can see the first layout. And on this side, where the preamplification is taking place, there is this nice piece of copper that should block interference. So very cool. I already removed the other 4 screws here, so we can remove also this little baby here. And here we can see the full glory of this circuit. And as you can see, I mean, it's nice and tidy, very well organized, and immediately you can just understand the quality of the components, like these M caps, very high quality. All these, look how many relays they are, these blue components here. Here we can see the preamplifier tubes. Here, over here, we have the rectifier. And as you know, I mean, Luxman has always been very famous for the quality of their transformers. That is one of the key components for the power, and also the transformers for the signal. Here they are, the step-up transformers for the MC signal. They are just astonishing, very high quality. And also the rest, as you can see, is top-notch. And that's it. Let's proceed. Okay, we are back now with point number 3. After this close-up, we are going to focus on, in general, we could say the listening notes, okay? What I used, how I listened, the first impressions, and as I said, afterwards, the final judgment. So what did I use? I used my MC Pure Fidelity in order to the Stratos. Here's a link to the Stratos if you want to know more about it. And I used it as an MC, pure MC, meaning I used the step-up transformers inside, but also with my own step-up transformers. I have a pair, mainly the Auditorium Homage. And in fact, I also used what I'm currently using, the phono cartridge I'm currently using mainly, which is the EMT TSD15, which is finds the perfect combination with the Auditorium Homage A23 T2. That's the long name of this buddy. I never did present it on the channel. I'll do it. It's an incredible step-up transformer dedicated to T2 to mainly the EMT, but not only type of cartridges. So the synergy is perfect. And I do want to say once again that the quality of the Luxman transformers is outstanding. Already the ones inside with the Stratos compared to the AudioFlight were just at another level, you guys. But with my EMT, the synergy with the auditorium is just unbeatable. So, in fact, currently I'm using it, my EMT, with the auditorium step-up, meaning that I'm using the MM line, the moving magnet selection on the baby. Which, by coincidence, I swear it's a coincidence, it's exactly the setup that Art Dudley was using when he was testing this guy here. So, I do want to make a recommendation. You have to wait around 20-30 minutes to fully express, each time you turn it on, the sonic capabilities of this machine. It's a tube gear, even solid state needs it, but tube gear even more. And in the beginning, I had some problems. I did some tube rolling. I will go more in depth in that in a minute. But finally, I found the right synergy, the right ensemble with my system, and everything just bloomed. It got much better than the AudioFlight, the Phono Dude, and the other things that I had that passed through here. Not that many. The Stellar, a few, but clearly all the ones connected also in the amplifiers, the preamplifiers, and things like that. Here we are, I want to say it right from the start, at another level. The sound stage immediately grew. It got much bigger. All the different instruments were very nice positioned in the soundstage, sculpt. There was air between them, and there's this nice, precise bass note, which I always hunt for. Not boom boom, but precise, okay, convincing, natural. That is the important, and it's hard to achieve in amplifiers and clearly what's behind them, in this case, preamplifiers. Okay, the gain, you guys. As I mentioned before, the gain is not a lot, not huge. And when I go down with, I change a lot of times amplifiers. When I have like 3, 4, 5 watts, 8 watts, no, 8 watts, I'm already in a safe place. But lower this, absolutely I keep it maximum because you need that gain in the sound. As I said, it's going to be a less refined because the best solution is to keep the gain low. Well, it just gives you less distortion in general, but you're losing, in my opinion, a little bit of dynamics, of punch, and I want more an equilibrium in that sense. Hence, this is one complaint. I would like more gain, so I put usually the selector to the maximum. Also because the auditorium, the step up, isn't incredibly powerful from that point of view. Okay, tube rolling. What did I do? Now, the baby comes with the stock tubes is JJ Electronic, which are decent, as you probably may recall. With my Master Sound preamplifier, I tried everything, but then I turned back to the JJs, because with modern equipment, I must admit that what they say, modern with modern tubes and components. But in this case, I had some surprise. So I did a few tests. I changed a few of these, and I inserted Mullard, vintage Mullard, in the position of the ECC82. And things started to get better. In the beginning, less. It took a while. I don't know why, but in the beginning, it was a little muffled. But fortunately, I resisted, because immediately when you sense something isn't that good, you just say, okay, it's not good, let's put the old ones back. You have to wait a little bit always. And in fact, oh boy, maybe because they were new old stock, I don't know. I don't remember actually if they were new old stock. In any case, the Mullards really exploded and made this darn baby sing. I also tried to use, I have my notes here, the vintage Telefunkens, very high quality, in the position of the ECC83. But nope, the JJs were better. Incredible, yes. So I had to put those back. So I have the JJs for the ECC83 and the Mullards for the ECC82. So this is the best combination I have found up until now. Okay, so our last point, my final take, point number 4. Well, you've already understood my conclusions. This is a great preamplifier. Quite silent, I must admit, very silent. It depends also what you're using, but I've heard even more silent ones, clearly, like my audio flight was dead silent. This maybe sometimes there's a little bit of noise, but not that much. If you pay attention to the connections and things like that, the power supplies, power cords, and if a quality preamplifier connected to it, and a good experimentation of the ground, of the step-up transformer, if you're using that or not directly from the turntable, you have to experiment, guys, then you will find an optimal solution. Absolutely. What can I say? It is quite expensive. I mean, when it was new retail, it went for almost $7,500, which is an insane price. But today you can find it for half. I got it used, and I got it for more or less half, even though mine was mint. So I think I paid a little more than that, but a little more than half. But I've checked online. You can find them at that price. So at that price, I think it's practically unbeatable or very hard to beat, especially if you're using a quality step-up transformer. Absolutely. One small complaint besides the gain, see above, is also the fact that it's not very intuitive. The commands could be displayed and just presented better. They're not very helpful. You're always reaching for the manual, at least at the beginning, to remember how everything works. The new model, the E07, much better from that point of view. So for now, this is my choice. In fact, it is over a year that it's been with me, and it's probably going to stay for me for a very long time, even though something else is coming along the road, and soon I will present it here on the channel. What else can I say? Thank you again for watching, guys, and remember that music is born analog. Bye!
Hey there, if you are enjoying my content, please consider to subscribe. It's free, and it will help the channel tremendously. Also, don't forget to explore my prior videos. There's something for everyone.
Welcome to the audiophile community.